On the broadcast tonight, protest, how a group of protesters on Tuesday grabbed the attention of many SHIP students.
A mass shooting in California late last night leaves 4 people dead. We have the latest.
And peep this exhibit. That's right, an art exhibit made out of peeps.
All that and more right now on SUTV News. Good evening and welcome to SUTV News. I'm Megan Talley.
And I'm Brady Fisher. A group visited campus on Tuesday, drawing lots of attention from SHIP students. The group initially set up in the Cub Amphitheater before moving to beside Reisner Dining Hall. The group says they visited campus to, quote, warn students about sin, end quote, and say they visited numerous campuses around the area. Some students chose to calmly speak with members of the group, exchanging viewpoints and respectfully agreeing to disagree. Others displayed pride flags, makeshift signs, blared music, and screamed at the group for their beliefs. Staff from the Pride Center and multiple SUPD officers were there to keep the peace and de-escalate any situations. After spending hours on campus, the group walked to their vehicles and left, but not before bringing the entire crowd of students with them. The COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on the world, and especially in the United States. As of April 1st, there have been over 30 million confirmed cases and just over 550,000 deaths linked to the virus. First responders and healthcare workers certainly had their work cut out for them over the past year and are still in a constant battle. Here in Shippensburg, EMS services were on the front lines of everything regarding COVID-19. EMS Captain Heather Franzoli explains how they changed their protocols to ensure the safety of their crew and patients.
I mean, from temperature checks to when we came in, to full health screenings, to wearing N95s on calls, to how we did operations. You know, if a call came in with trouble breathing, only one of my staff initially would go in and assess the situation just to make sure that we weren't exposing everyone. Decon procedures changed. Calls that took an hour are now taking 2 hours because you have to decon everything.
She also went on how she was treated differently in regular public places just because she worked in EMS.
2 years ago, you go to Walmart in uniform. You know, it was more of a respect thing. You know, someone in EMS, we went to Walmart in April and people would run from us if we were in uniforms because they were scared of us. You know, we were contagious.
Overall, call numbers for EMS services in Shippensburg dropped 5.8% in the year of 2020. Due to the decreased need of EMS, the department lost lots of money in revenue.
After taking a break for the winter, it looks like First Fridays are returning to Shippensburg. SHIP First Fridays happen on the first Friday of each month throughout the spring, summer, and fall. The goal of SHIP First Fridays is to get people out and interacting with the community through live music, food trucks, and local drinks. Some of the food trucks making an appearance this Friday include Uncle Eddie's Barbecue and Farm Show Milkshakes. Appalachian Brewing Company will also be offering beer to guests 21 and over. In addition to First Fridays, the Shippensburg Art Market will also be returning for the first time this year. The Shippensburg Art Market consists of vendors from members of the community who would like to sell their handcrafted goods. Both the Art Market and First Friday activities will go from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. The student-led team that organized Diversity Week last fall is asking for students to join their expanding group. The team is looking for students of all majors and interests from multiple different areas, including financing, marketing, and community engagement. The team is expanding, quote, bring more perspectives to the table, end quote. If interested, contact the team at diversityweek@ship.edu. Now let's go over to Paige Shope, who gives us a look at what's coming in this week's edition of The Slate.
Coming up this week in The Slate, our SHIP Life section will have an Easter feature and a new recipe of the week. The Arts and Entertainment section will feature the update on the Shape Gallery regarding a minor flood and review AJR's brand new album, OK Orchestra. This week, The Slate will not be on newsstands, but you can visit theslateinline.com for news, features, and more. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at ShipUSlate.
Pennsylvania's Rachel Levine recently made history with her confirmation by the U.S. Senate. SUTV's Adam Beam takes a look at the historic decision.
With her approval, the Biden administration once again makes history, as last week we saw the confirmation of Pennsylvania's very own Rachel Levine as Assistant Secretary for Health in the Department of Health and Human Services. With her confirmation, Levine is now the first openly transgender official to be confirmed by the Senate and was confirmed by a vote of 52 to 48. Levine was most notably Pennsylvania's Secretary of Health as she led the state's COVID-19 response. During her time as Secretary of Health in Pennsylvania, she was met with relentless comments and slurs, as Tom Wolf spoke of last summer. However, Levine would be nominated by Joe Biden back in January. As he put it, Levine would, quote, bring the steady leadership and essential expertise we need to get people through this pandemic, no matter their zip code, race, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability, and meet the public health needs of our country in this critical moment and beyond. When the Senate voted on Levine's nomination, she was met with overwhelming support by the Democrats. Senator Patty Murray of Washington State spoke of Levine's importance in the matters of LGBTQ+ sciences and other related health areas. However, Levine's road to her new position was not easy. As previously stated, she was met with heavy criticism during her time in Pennsylvania. When she faced the House for her confirmation hearing, it was Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky that hit her with the heaviest questioning. His main targets being how she felt towards minors being capable of making such decisions as, quote, sex reassignment and genital mutilation, end quote. Levine's response was as follows.
Transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field with robust research and standards of care that have been developed. And if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health, I will look forward to working with you and your office and coming to your office and discussing the particulars of the standards of care for transgender medicine.
The specific question.
Levine is just another historic member of Joe Biden's growing and diversified cabinet, and we wish her the best of luck in her new position in the next 4 years. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam.
The trial of former officer Derek Chauvin has begun, and while no clear end to the trial is in sight, SUTV's Adam Beam fills us in on everything so far.
It is arguably the biggest criminal trial of the year so far, and the eyes of the nation are upon Officer Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer charged with the death of 46-year-old George Floyd. The incident occurred back in May of 2020 and was one of several police-related deaths that resulted in massive public outcry and protest. Now Chauvin stands trial on multiple charges, including second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter, to which he pleaded not guilty on all counts. The trial began this Monday, and here's everything that has happened so far. On day one, before entering the courtroom, the Floyd family, their lawyer, and Reverend Al Sharpton knelt outside for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the length of time Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck, killing him. The prosecution team played video taken by bystanders at the scene, showing the officers restraining Floyd through his time of death. The team called it, quote, a murder and a homicide, end quote, as well as saying, quote, on May 25th of 2020, Mr. Derek Chauvin betrayed this badge where he used executive and unreasonable force upon the body of Mr. George Floyd, end quote. The defense team for Chauvin made their argument that Floyd's death was a result of numerous factors, including cardiac arrhythmia that occurred as a result of hypertension, his coronary disease, the ingestion of methamphetamines and fentanyl, and the adrenaline blowing through his body, all of which acted to further compromise an already compromised heart, end quote. One of the key witnesses from the first day was 911 dispatcher Jenna Lee Scurry, who watched the incident over security footage and believed her screen was frozen for how long they held down Floyd. Day two was the first big day of witnesses. Donald Williams, a trained MMA fighter, spoke how he yelled at Chauvin numerous times that he held Floyd in a blood choke, one move that would certainly result in death.
What's the address of the emergency?
Officer 987 killed a citizen in front of a Chicago store. He just pretty much just killed this guy that wasn't resisting arrest. He had his knee on the dude's neck the whole time, Officer 987.
Whose badge, which officer were you referring to?
The officer sitting over there.
Okay.
Then came testimony from 17-year-old Darnella Frazier, who was the individual who took the cell phone footage of Floyd's death that went viral and was a key point behind much of the public outrage.
It's been nights. I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more.
Day 3 continued with more key witnesses. 19-year-old cashier Christopher Martin expressed regret for having to stop Floyd from departing the store he worked at that day.
What's going through your mind during that time period?
Disbelief and guilt.
Okay. Why guilt?
If I would have just not taken the bill, this could have been avoided.
It should be noted that the police were called to the original scene after Floyd attempted to use a counterfeit $20 bill. However, it was never clear if he knew of the bill's authenticity. Currently, as of Thursday, April 1st, the trial is on its 4th day and is expected to last for another few weeks before a verdict is reached. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam.
4 people are dead and 1 is critically injured after a shooting at an office complex in Orange, California Wednesday night. CNN's Kyung Law has the latest from the scene.
All through the overnight hours, we've seen law enforcement and investigators going in and out of this business park. This is where the shooting happened, and police are trying to figure out what it was that led up to America's latest mass shooting. Here's what we do know. There are people who live all around this business park, and right around dinner time last night, they heard the sound of gunfire, rapid gunfire. Shortly after that, the sound of sirens as law enforcement arrived, and then more gunfire. Orange police say that was first responders exchanging gunfire with the suspect. The suspect was wounded and taken to the hospital. And then as police walked through this business park, they found a gruesome scene. 4 people who had been murdered. One of those victims is a child. We don't know the gender of the child, if it's a boy or a girl. And there was a 5th woman who was injured, taken to the hospital. She remains in critical condition. Investigators say they are trying to figure out if there was any sort of relationship between the suspect and the victims, trying to understand what the motive was. They did recover 1 weapon. And for a little perspective on what's been happening these last couple of weeks, this is the 20th shooting where 4 or more people have been wounded or killed in this country, the 20th mass shooting in America. In Orange, California, I'm Kyung Law.
Earlier this afternoon, police released the identity of the suspect, 44-year-old Aminadab Gaxiola Gonzalez. After some wintry weather today, let's go over to Angel B. Money, who has this week's weather.
Mother Nature pulled a great April Fool's Day prank by giving us a little snowstorm today. Tonight, temps dip below freezing and the winds will make it feel like 10 degrees. Tomorrow, we rebound into the lower 40s and the wind sticks around. Looking ahead, we warm up this weekend and see a lot of sunshine through Monday. Rain returns on Tuesday and clouds settle in throughout the rest of the week, with a chance of rain periodically. Hopefully, this is the last of the cold weather that Mother Nature has to offer until fall. That's it for weather this week. I'm Angel B. Money. Now back to Brady and Megan at the desk.
Peep this sweet exhibit at the Racine Art Museum in Wisconsin. People from around the country submitted nearly 150 pieces of art made out of or inspired by, you guessed it, Peeps candy. The creations include everything from dioramas and sculptures to paintings. This is the 12th year of the seasonal contest. And the museum's executive director says the very first Peeps piece is getting a permanent home at the museum.
The Greetings from Racine, that's the first piece that's ever been entered in this competition in 12 years that is actually entering the museum's permanent collection.
The Peeps exhibit at Racine Art Museum ends April 10th. Well, I might not be a big Peeps fan, but that certainly does look like a cool museum.
Yeah, I'm also not that big of a Peeps fan, but it's cool to see a sugar high coming to Wisconsin. And that'll be it for our broadcast tonight. I'm Megan Talley.
And I'm Brady Fisher. Be sure to check out all of our social media at SUTV News, and check out our website at sutvnews.org.
We're back with sports next week, and until then, have a happy Easter weekend, and good night.